Hey guys, this is another shaky cam handy hand video. This time I have the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite up here, and down here I just acquired an open box Galaxy Tab S6. So, and right now, because S7 came out, big sales on S6 everywhere. Best Buy had this unit for 509 or something like that. I think I ended up paying like 550 with tax and stuff. Don't quote me on that, but pretty close to that. This is brand new. I acquired for 350 after tax. So that's sort of the price difference you can get between S6 Lite and S6. And the big difference between the two, obviously, this is LCD, this is OLED. Uh, in fact, right now they both got 100% of screen brightness, and S6 is blowing up my camera right now. So I think I'm gonna lower this to maybe 50%, which is on par with 100%. Nope. Sorry. Come on. There you go. 100%. I got blurring in the S6 Lite. So LCD versus OLED, big difference there. You're paying for that. Also, the chip between the two. This is a mid-range chip. This is a high-end chip. The top-end chip for the last year, right? This is 855 Snapdragon. This is Exynos 9611, based on ARM A73 cores for the big cores and A53 for the little cores. I think this is, don't quote me, but based on A76 and A55 for the little cores. Something like that. Obviously, it's Snapdragon, Qualcomm tweaks the A cores into something they call Creo, I think, right? Is that how I pronounce it? Anyways, there's some tweaks on there, but it's largely based on the base IP, ARM IP of A76. This is A73, so several generation difference. What else? Oh, another big difference. That 509 pay for the top of the line storage, so it's 256 with 8 gigs of RAM. So you're looking at, this is 64 gigabyte storage, 4 gigs of RAM. So I think S6 Lite only has 64 gig and 128 gig options, and they both have 4 gigs of RAM. And this is S6 has two options for RAM, and 6 and 8. And 8 comes with 256, and 6 comes with 128. And I was able to find open box 256 for 509, so there you go. And obviously the reason I didn't go for S7 is because OLED, right? Because if you want this size, because I'm looking for ultra portability, this is 10.5, 10.4. And so, the S7 has 11-inch, but 11-inch is LCD, and I don't want to pay that much for LCD. And 12.4 is, or 3 or whatever the size for the S7 7 Plus is. That's a decent size, but it's not what I'm looking for as far as portability goes. And then you're paying like $1,000 almost, and I'm too cheap to pay almost $1,000 for Android tablet. And I have like 15-inch Windows 2-in-1 that has Wacom EMR that I whip out if I want to use CSP on a bigger screen. So this feels ideal. This progression of 6 point something inch phone to 10.5-inch tablet to 15-inch laptop. That's a nice little progression there. And so, hey, if you get S7 Plus, you got the money for it, and you want to spring for it, great, go for it. Then it's all nice and gravy. But for me, it's not really something I'm after. Also, I'm not really that big on the refresh rate when I'm drawing. It doesn't really. I'll talk about that later, but if you're waiting, if you're watching the pixel change underneath your pencil, you're not drawing. You're doing something else. Yeah, let's not do that. All right. Okay. So let's look at what that difference between the specs sort of gives you the more powerful chip and more importantly the RAM. In my opinion, the 4 versus 8, that's a big jump, twice as much, obviously. The storage speed, I think, is not too terrible on the S6 Lite. I believe it's UFS. I'm not sure if it's 3.0 or 2.0 or whatever. I know that the S6 itself is UFS 3.0, so it's fast. They're both fast. So it's the amount of storage, obviously. But 64 is plenty for storing drawings, right? And you can stick in an SD card if you want to offload some of that for media and whatnot. So that's not a big deal. But for instance, if you launch here, I'm going to launch Infinite Painter on both. And so if you look at let's see if the UI for this thing, still not familiar. So if I do new, I'm going to discard this previous thing, blank. Okay, here we go. So right now I have canvas size maxed out, and biggest I can make is 5,287 by 3,172. Okay. Now on the S7 with the 8 gigs of RAM, I can create new, and if I take the slider and go all the way, the biggest I can make is, please focus, 10,473 by 6,407. So obviously that's where the advantage comes in for the RAM. You can make a much bigger canvas, right? You might not necessarily get the performance difference, but you definitely get let's see how it does with that canvas size. You get canvas size and the layers, and and the problem with obviously big huge canvases that your brushes get smaller, right? So I'm gonna use Proco for both brushes, right? Probably the best thing about Infinite Painter for sketching is that brush. Proco, is a fairly well-known YouTube instructor. Let's call him instructor. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what he does. And he concocted a really nice brush here that, okay, so on S6 Lite, it's a bit struggly. Not bad. Well, actually, now it's okay. Because initially it was like, well, you can see that it's sort of catching up. I wish there was an easy way to clear canvas on this app, like Clip Studio, but yeah, there's a little lag. This is a much bigger canvas, and I think it's less laggy, definitely, or at least par, even though the canvas is much bigger. But performance-wise, S6 Lite with the mid-range chip is still very serviceable, right? Very good. You're not going to be like, oh shit, it's so laggy. I should have gotten something else. You won't. I don't think you'll ever feel that in honesty. You might compare with another machine and say it's slower. Yeah, sure, but you never go, I can't sketch. It's too slow. You won't have that experience. So the biggest advantage between the two for the more expensive S6 is the RAM size. It's the amount of stuff you can stuff in on your canvas size, amount of layers, blah blah blah, multitasking. That's really what you're getting. Okay. Now, some brushes and like so most Android apps have like sort of hard brush size limit, right? But Clip Studio doesn't care about that because it's a desktop app, right? And so let's see if I should have. I think everything I kept the same as before. So I got two 6,000 by 4,000 canvas here, and I got the same brush here. It's variant that I created of the color pencil. Okay, and the parameters are thus. If you want to replicate it at home, it's I got the brush size at 400 pixels, but the important thing is I have only tilt for the size expression, and for uh, minimum I have 100, maximum value I have it at 300. Okay, and that's same on the S6 Lite, just to show you. Shaky cam, and if I remember correctly, the density is just pressure. You know what? I think this was. Let's put it right there. I think that's where I have it. The other one. Let me double check. Density pressure curve. No, that was close. All right. So that's larger. It's the same brush. And 6,000, 4,000 canvas on both. So same pen. And now the difficult thing about this brush that I created is its tilt for size. So the angle that I have it is important. So I'm going to try to just keep it upright to eliminate any variance between the two. And here we go. I'm going to do two quick circles that are big enough to fill the canvas size. All right, 1, 2. Like that. 1. Okay, I didn't measure that, but yay seconds. Same thing here in the S6. Dun. Much faster, right? So there are ways to sort of show the difference for the horsepower between the two units, but it's really unusual circumstance in the brush. I really have to tweak to really tax the systems, right? You're not going to sketch with that. You can shade with that, but again, this brush is really meant for like laying down a lot of texture at different sizes. And so this is 6,000 by 4,000. You're not going to shade entire. You're going to zoom in. You're going to zoom in and you're going to shade small area. You're not going to do 400 pixels, right? So just keep that in mind, But you can definitely create brushes that are going to overtext the system for sure. Yeah, the LCD definitely looks different than the OLED. And the viewing angle was obviously sort of impacting things too, but the OLED is just like, bam, it just smacks you in the face, especially at full brightness. I mean, that's unusable at full brightness. So I just want to, but at the same time, if I go to a brush that I usually sketch with, right? Let's see, get clear canvas. And, if I just am sketching, let me zoom in. Wait, oh, sorry, I have it set at ridiculous size here. Not 400. I sketch with 50 pixels, right? So let's try that again. And here too, I'm gonna change it to 50 pixels. All right, so this is my normal sort of sketching size, right? And it's very fast, fluid, no problems. Again, this is 4,000 from top to bottom here, so no problem, right? S6 Lite, no problems. Obviously, S6 is going to be faster, but kind of hard to see because, oh man, that OLED is blowing out my camera. I'm telling you, even at half brightness. Um, Now let's talk about latency really quick. I think latency is really important for things like video games that are controlling the camera, like 3D games that you control the actual camera, so you're spinning around and basically changing all the pixels all the time very quickly. When you're drawing, your canvas is fairly set. You don't constantly move around pixels, right? I mean, if you do, you're not drawing. And then when you change pixels, you're changing like these amount of pixels, like small amount of pixels at a time, right? You're not changing wholesale large pixels. And if you're doing that, you're shading a really large area. Yeah, you can do that, but you don't really care about how long it takes because you're just already lagging due to probably brush size, and the CPU is trying to keep up. So there's the lag I just showed you with the other brush, stuff like that is happening. So who gives a crap if it's updating 120 hertz? It's already lagging anyway. So for things like this, 120 hertz, yeah, is it nice to have? I guess sure. It's nice for UI stuff. If you're like flipping down this kind of stuff, this is going to be smoother. So that little tail is going to be less noticeable, more silky smooth. Okay, well that's I guess nice. This is 60 hertz. It'll be twice as smooth, right? Fine. Uh, that doesn't really matter for drawing. If I'm playing a game, it would matter. Like if I'm bringing a 3D game and if your GPU is fast enough to handle it over 60 hertz, right? 60 frames a second, then yes, that matters. And it's going to be more smoother. You're not going to be less likely to throw up from changing the camera real quick, spanning and just whatever. But this is not that. This is canvas stays fairly the same. When you're moving your canvas around, you're not drawing. And when you're drawing, you're only changing small amount of pixels. And listen, if you are influenced by the pixel changing underneath your pen, right? As you draw, what the fuck? How slow are you drawing? I mean, I guess if you draw slow enough. Listen, I know what my hand's doing. So if I draw this, I know what my hand is doing that. And if I didn't do it, you undo. It's digital. What the hell are you doing? Don't fucking watch. Don't be like you gotta speed up. You gotta speed up your drawings, okay? You can't be Brad Colboying it fucking. I mean, you can do that style. That's fine. But if I was doing that style, I probably wouldn't use, raster. I would probably use vector. I don't know. It just seems like you're not really taking advantage of digital if you're drawing slowly. It's digital. You can undo. You fuck up, you can undo. Why slow down? Your lines look better if you speed up. If you go slow, all that little imperceptible, shakiness comes alive. When you go faster, it's gone. Take advantage of digital. Don't fucking go slow. And the latency won't matter. I mean, this is 50 millisecond latency supposedly, and that's fine. The same thing with pressure sensitivity, like 4,000, 8,000 levels that we're at now. Who gives a shit? My drawings didn't get any better since I was using the UD pen like Art Z2 back in like 90s. That was like 128 levels, and my drawings looked just fine back then too. It's called diminishing returns. At a certain point, more you give it doesn't make any difference, and that's the same thing with pressure levels with the latency. Latency, I guess when you're watching somebody draw, you might notice it, but when you're drawing, it doesn't matter. 50 milliseconds, fine. If you want to pay extra for that 9 millisecond, whatever, yeah, go ahead. But I'd rather pay 520 For OLED 10-inch, then, you know, what are they charging? 650, 700 for the 11-inch LCD for the S7? Ugh. And clearly, you're not going to notice between A55 to A65 plus, because you hardly notice unless you do some crazy brushes from Exynos 9611 to A55, which is probably like double the horsepower when you look at the benchmarks like N22, right? So, you know, I upgraded from here to here. I'm going to probably keep this. Yeah, because goddamn OLED, right? But the RAM is the real key that I chased after here. 8 versus 4. Double the space, meaning you can do bigger canvas, more layers, more multitasking, etc. Right? So what's the best way to get 8 gigs of RAM on an Android tablet right now? I say an open box or refurbed S6, right? And then you get the benefit of OLED and all that stuff. If you want to chase the 120 hertz, then you're going to have to pay like, I don't know, 850 for S7. Yeah, okay. Well, 850 versus 550 that I pay for this. $300, and you get an OLED versus LCD. I mean, that's crazy stuff, right? I mean, that's the easy choice for me. So, all right. So that was just quick sort of difference between the S6 Lite and S6 proper. And, you know, don't make the decision based on anything other than that you get an OLED screen and you get much more RAM. Even the base S6 128, you get 2 gigs more, that's 50% more. That'll make an impact. And so if the price is right on, if you get a deal on S6, I would say go for that over S6 Lite. But if you only can afford S6 Lite with your budget right now, perfectly fine. You just have to keep your canvas size and layers under control. But then for 6,000 by 4,000 canvas, that's pretty damn good, right? That's still pretty damn good, especially for Android tablet. And yeah, you should be happy with that experience for drawing. By the way, before I end this video, just a little bonus. I just got my original Note 10.1 back from, let's say, my mom's closet. I was having her use it, but she really wasn't. So this is Jelly Bean. Look at this. Look at the size difference. It's 10.1 versus 10. But look at the size of the tablet. So it's beefy, much heavier, but it's built really well. I mean, you know, back in the day, this was the shit. So I just want to show that really quick in the video. Maybe I'll do a video later. But I want to keep it Jelly Bean, and I don't want to put new ROM on it, whatever. So, you know, obviously you can't put Clip Studio on it because it falls under the minimum specs and stuff, so it's kind of pointless to do that. Maybe I can sideload some modern art app on it, but it's going to choke because it only has quad-core A9 running at 1.4 gigahertz. Just thought it'd be neat to show. Okay, all right, that was a long enough video. Hope you guys found it interesting and informative. I'm gonna try to do more videos between the two. Maybe not. Maybe this is all I need to say between the two units. Maybe I just do it. Yeah. So this is, I think, enough comparison between the S6 Lite and S6, and you can make a decision based on this video which one you want to get or which you should get based on your needs. Okay? All right. Thanks for watching.